Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm sure you've all heard the news over the past couple of days that Hagia Sophia in Istanbul has once again been turned into a mosque by the President of Turkey, Erdogan. For those of you that may not know, Hagia Sophia was the greatest church constructed in the history of our church. It was the crown jewel of the Byzantine Empire. Built all the way back in 537 AD, some 1500 years ago now, it contained the world's largest interior space in its day, and with its massive pendentive dome symbolizing heaven, Hagia Sophia is said to have changed architecture forever. What a powerful image to have as a symbol of the heights of orthodoxy of our faith. So as you can imagine, with the news of it being converted back into a mosque, there's now a shadow of sadness cast over the Christian world. In a year that seems to be getting progressively worse and worse, this is the latest bomb of bad news that has been dropped on us. What is it with this year? How can we comprehend all the madness going on around us in the world? Today's gospel passage opens our eyes to a harsh reality of the world that we live in. From today's gospel passage, we see that there is a very real existence of evil in the world. Today, as Jesus is walking through a desolate area, two demoniacs leap out at him. And it says they cried out, "What do you have to do with us, O Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" The demoniacs here are referring to the second coming of Christ, when he will come into the world to destroy Satan and all his demons and establish the heavenly kingdom forever. The demons know it is not yet the time of the second coming, so they challenge Christ. This is a very interesting interaction. We are used to seeing Jesus interact with other people, but today Jesus Christ himself comes face to face with evil. And from this interaction, we learn a lot about the relationship between evil or demons or the devil and Christ. The demoniacs leap out at Christ and challenge him. And with one word, one simple little word, "Go," Christ casts these demons into a herd of swine, and they go crashing down a steep bank into the sea, where it says they perished in the waters. From this one interaction, we see that the devil, demons, and evil really have no power when it comes to God. For all the huffing and puffing of the demons, with one word, Christ sent them spiraling to their death. One word. This interaction we see today reminded me of a quote by St. Paisios, who we celebrate today, by the way. And this quote is one that speaks to us very directly during this year of chaos. St. Paisios, a very holy man indeed, even he himself admitted that all the chaos, all the evil that he witnessed while he was in the world was enough to drive him crazy. St. Paisios said, "What I see around me would drive me insane if I did not know that no matter what happens, God will have the final word. No matter what happens, God will have the final word." Here we are, unable to physically attend our own churches like normal, and now our ultimate church, our mother church, Hagia Sophia, has gone from being at least a museum for all to visit and appreciate and enjoy, to now being unnecessarily taken as a mosque in a land which already has hundreds of lavish mosques, including the massive Blue Mosque, which is literally right across the street from Hagia Sophia. This year is a very sobering wake-up call that there is a spiritual struggle going on in the world. God is real, and unfortunately, so is the devil. The devil may be enjoying the madness going on now in the world, but we must remember that God always has the last word. Now, it sounds overwhelming to think of the reality of evil and the devil, but the good news is that all of you out there, every time you tune into a service, or back when you could physically come to church, whether you know it or not, you are making an active decision to focus on God, to cling to Him, to encounter Him. So no matter what happens in the world, no matter what evil forces try to cause chaos, we as Orthodox Christians always have the ability to turn to God and to learn more about Him and to pray to Him, the one who has real power. Even though the devil and evil do exist, St. Paisios also has a helpful illustration and explanation of how the devil works, which gives us confidence not to fear him. St. Paisios says, "The devil does not have power or authority over those who have faith, those who go to church regularly, confess, and receive Holy Communion. He just barks a little like a toothless dog." This is comforting now for those of us who have faith and continue to tune into church and participate in the services. However, St. Paisios does warn about those who may not have faith when it comes to the devil. He continues, "But the devil has great power over those who do not have faith and give him rights and authority. He can get such people in his clutches and tear them to pieces with his teeth. The devil's authority over a soul depends on the rights it has granted him." Now, I don't share this with you to startle you or disturb you, but simply to explain how it is the devil can take a hold of someone. He can only do so if a person gives him the access through absence of faith and a life lived decidedly far, far away from God. So with one word, Jesus can send demons crashing to death. And with just a little faith, we render the devil as harmless as a toothless dog. So then we see the power that we have to fight off the evil in this world, each one of us in our personal lives. If we take the love of God and Christ that we come to learn about at church and spread it to all those around us that we come across, we are fighting off evil whether we realize it or not. This is our calling as Orthodox Christians, to go into the world and to bring Christ with us, having focused on Him in our church. Evil is crushed when we are focused on God. The devil is crushed when we are focused on God. And the best part is, when we are focused on God, we don't even need to think about the devil. In order to defeat evil, we don't even need to orient ourselves towards evil. We simply orient ourselves towards God, and evil is defeated. With our lives, our hearts, and our minds oriented to God, the devil and evil are automatically defeated. And it's easy to orient ourselves to God. Every time you tune into liturgy, every time you light yourself a virtual candle, you are making the decision to connect with God. Father Stephen and I were discussing the other day how we've noticed a considerable increase in the amount of memorial services we've been asked to pray since we've begun streaming our services online. It seems we are doing a memorial pretty much every week now. Father Stephen finds this very inspiring because even though you all physically cannot gather here, you are still very much connected to your church and its services. These are the signs of a community healthily connected to God. And another little tip to help you stay connected with God outside of church is something that I find particularly useful. Whenever you are feeling stressed and maybe can't sleep at night, I would suggest that you simply go to YouTube and type in Byzantine chant or Byzantine hymns, and you'll find a wide variety of beautiful hymns that are very soothing. Sometimes we might not realize that we are at spiritual unrest, and simply listening to these hymns can bring us a little peace. Because after all, these hymns themselves are very meaningful prayers. We spoke of tragedy earlier with Hagia Sophia being taken back as a mosque. But this is not the first time Hagia Sophia has fallen to an evil attack. The original fall of Hagia Sophia happened in 1453 after a 53-day siege on the city of Constantinople by the Ottomans. And although this was a tragic day, there exists one inspiring story from that event that gives me a little courage to continue in any spiritual battles that might come along the way. The last emperor of Byzantium was a man named Constantine Palaiologos. Legend has it that as the city was crumbling around him and the Ottoman soldiers were bursting in, the leader of the Ottoman Empire wanted Constantine brought to him alive as a prisoner. Rather than let himself be handed over to the enemy, Constantine implored his own soldiers to kill him. When they could not bring themselves to kill their emperor, Emperor Constantine Palaiologos threw off all his imperial garb and regalia, disguised himself as a common soldier, picked up his sword, and charged into where the battle was thickest for one last fight, defending his faith, his city, and his people. The last emperor of Byzantium died fighting. This is the kind of courage against evil that our faith gives us. And although throughout history there were many Byzantine emperors technically more successful than Constantine Palaiologos, because of this heroic act, there is to this very day a large statue built in his honor, proudly in Metropolis Square in Athens. I know 2020 has been a tough year for all of us. Each one of us enduring things we've never had to before. And now insult has been added to injury, with Hagia Sophia being taken back as a mosque. But when you see depressing images of Hagia Sophia today, remember the heroic fight of Constantine Palaiologos in the face of evil. Remember that even though evil springs out at us like the two demoniacs in today's gospel, God always has the last word. And when we orient ourselves towards God through staying connected with our church, we automatically put ourselves on the winning side of the fight against evil. Amen.